Hello everybody. I promised that I'd try and do an online Pilates class for you, and this is my first effort, so I intend to try to send you about a class a week over the next few weeks while we're all at home, and obviously I'll be in touch with you, when we're ready to start doing Pilates again outside and back in the halls, and hopefully that won't be too long. In the meantime, I really hope you're all staying well and staying fit. We're going to start today's class in a standing position, okay, which lots of you are familiar with here. As I say, this is a little bit of an amateur setup today, so you'll have to bear with me. Hopefully I'll get better at this as we go along. But setting up your key elements in standing, you're going to have your feet hip width apart, okay, nice even weight bearing through the bases of your feet, knees straight without being locked out, and then that neutral pelvis. So in standing we talk about the pelvic bucket of water, tilting backwards and forwards, trying to find that midpoint with your plumb line hanging from the bottom of your tailbone, shoulders down and open, and crown of your head reaching up towards the ceiling. So your chest should feel nice and wide, those shoulder blades anchored without thrusting your rib cage forward, so you've got that ring of your rib cage balanced over your pelvis. And thinking about your breathing deep down to the sides and the backs of your lungs. So as you inhale, feeling that expansion through your rib cage, and then on the exhale, gradual and relaxed breathing. Next exhalation, at the end of it, drawing up through your pelvic floor, just to the point where you feel that light tension, that connection between your hip bones at the front. That tells you that your core muscles are engaged. So maintaining all of those key elements, going to start off now with a gentle warm up through your shoulders. Just rolling forward and up, and inhaling to come back and down. So exhale through the first half of the movement, forward and up, and inhale to come back and down. And once more, forward and up, core engaged, still keeping that plumb line nice and stable, and inhale to come back and down. And then reversing the direction of the circle, coming back and up, and in to come forward and down, and exhale back and up. Inhale to come forward and down, and last one, exhale back and up, and inhale to come forward and down. And then on the exhale, core still engaged now, arms are reaching up, keep your shoulders anchored onto your rib cage at the back, and inhale, coming back to the start position again, and exhale, forward and up. Inhale, and coming back to the start position, and exhale, forward and up, and inhale, coming back to the start position, and then adding in a little balance, up onto your tiptoes as you lift, inhale, coming back to the start position, and exhale, and lift, and inhale, coming back down. And last one, exhale, lift and reach down. Let your ribs flare. Inhale, coming back to the start position, and a slight bend through your knees, so you're staying upright through your body, little bend through your knees, core engaged. And on the exhale, in that position, you can have your hands on your pelvis to keep level, going to just lift up through one leg, toe touch to return on the inhale, exhale, toe lift, or heel lift and raise, and in and return, and heel lift and raise, and in and return, and heel lift and raise. You're trying to keep your pelvis level, your hip, knee and thigh all aligned and engaged. So I'm just going to turn so I'm a little bit more facing front to you, and lift and inhale, and exhale and lift and inhale. Then we're going to bring your arms by your side. Bring opposite arm and leg up, and inhale and return, and lift reach, and inhale to return, and lift, and reach, and inhale to return again. Shoulders stay anchored, so you're just trying to keep all those key elements slightly bent to begin, and lift. Sorry, I can tell that my dog's going to now walk in front of the camera. That's Mabel. And lift, and inhale to return. I've just asked everybody else to give me a quiet hour, but Mabel's not listening. So when you're finished, that last one, going to come up into, again, this nice sort of straight leg but not locked out position. And same thing, hands on your pelvis to stabilize to begin. Going to just lift one leg forward, flex the leg, coming back into the start position, and lift and reach, and flex to return. Try to think about that plumb line on your tailbone. It's really easy to let your upper body come forward. If you're worried about balance, you don't have to come all the way up. You can come a small distance away from the floor. You're trying to stabilize with the standing legs so that your hips not dropping out to the side. You're staying nice and aligned. And then bringing in opposite arm and leg. So opposite arm and leg on the exhale. Inhale to return. And exhale and lift. And inhale. And exhale and lift. And inhale. And exhale and lift. And inhale. And exhale and lift, and inhale. And last pair of movements to lift, and inhale, and exhale and lift, and inhale. Okay, so when you finish that last set of movements, I'm going to do a similar thing, but working out to the back. So I'm going to turn sideways just so that you can see that nice and upright through your body, and on the exhale, you're going to lift up one leg to the back and in to return. Again, staying as upright as you can through your upper body and in to return. Feet stay roughly hip width apart if you can. Exhale, reach in to return, and exhale, reach and in to return. And then opposite arm and leg. So lifting and in to return, and exhale and lift and in to return. And lift and reach, and in to return, and lift and reach, and in to return, and lift and reach, and in to return, and lift and reach, and in to return. Then hands back on your hips, same thing, going to lift, into hold, and as you inhale, you're going to pulse 3 times, and back to the start position, and opposite leg, and pulse, 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 and into return, and pulse, pulse, pulse on the inhale, exhale to return, exhale, lift, and pulse, pulse, pulse on the inhale, back to the start, and lift, and inhale, pulse, 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 and return, and lift, and pulse, 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 and return, and lift, and pulse, 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 and return. And when you finish those last ones, and you're back in the start position again, okay, going to just put your hands on your knees, okay, again, nice straight back in that position, breathing into hold, and on the exhale, going to tuck your tailbone under, and then running your hands back up into the start position. Shoulders drop, breathe into hold, and exhale. Again, just rolling down, just as far as your knees, and bend, and bottom sticks out to stretch. Breathe into hold, tailbone tucks under, again, tuck and lift, back straightens and into hold, and then again rolling down, hands towards your knees, bottom drops out. Breathe in to hold and tuck your tailbone under and stacking back up. Going to do one more. Rolling down. Hands towards your knees. Again, sticking your bottom out. Breathe in to hold and tuck your bottom in. That's lovely. I've got a bit of a stiff back today and I can feel that really easing that out. So breathing into hold. And then on the exhale, going to come back towards the back end of your mat. I'm hoping I'm not disappearing in any way here. And lifting your arms up above your head. Breathe into hold and then head and arms dropping down. So you're going to roll down segment by segment by segment. Down towards the mat, head drops, okay, so you can put a little bit of bend in your knees at the end if you don't like being completely straight leg, and then exhale, you're going to roll back up, tucked in through your tummy all the time. You're then going to correct your tailbone and stack back up, shoulders drop, head nice and high, breathing in to hold, and again dropping down. One joint at a time, peeling away. Breathing in to hold at the bottom and exhale. Tailbone tucks under and lift and reach. Breathing into hold. Last one. Going to just roll down. Again, really think about your spine peeling away from that imaginary wall. Got Mabel coming back. Sorry. Peeling away from that imaginary wall. Okay, back into position. Breathing into hold. You're going to walk your hands forward. And I know not all of you like to be in 4-point kneeling, but for those of you who can, come into kneeling. Those of you who can't, I want you to lie on your front, okay, with a towel underneath your tummy, hands in the stop position, okay, core muscles engaged, and then on the exhale we're going to just slide opposite arm and leg away and reaching long on the inhale to hold and back into the start position. Now I want you to do alternate arms and leg. I can only do one side because I'm not quite up to bearing weight on that replaced knee yet, and back to the start position again. And then exhale, going to just come forward, reaching long and inhale, and back to the start position, and reaching long, and inhale, and back to the start position. Okay, so carry on doing that, alternate arms and leg, lift and reach, inhale, and back to the start position. Think about those imaginary glasses of water on your back. Main thing that you want to watch is shoulders anchored down towards your waist, for whether you're on your tummy or on your on all fours, and face parallel with the floor, body parallel to the floor. Exhale, reach into hold and back into the start position. So just completing that last pair of movements, and reach and in to hold and back into the start position again. And when you finish that last one, going to come into a side lying position on the mat with your arm up above your head. Now for those of you who feel uncomfortable with that, you can have a couple of cushions or a towel, okay, between your hand and your arm, okay, or you can just have your arms forward in the prayer position if that feels better, you know, with a block or a cushion or a folded towel underneath your head. Okay, knees are going to be bent up for everybody to start in this position, so you're looking for that vertical stack through your hips, vertical stack through your ribs, and about 45 degrees at your knees and hips, a little bit of space or lightness between your waist and the mat, okay? You can have your hand on your hip or just along your body, or if you want a little bit of extra support, just toe touch or fingertip touch, I should say, in front. If you're like this, you're too rolled forward, so you need to be open through your chest, and of course core engaged, tailbone and crown of your head reaching long. Going to start off with the clam, so lifting your feet onto an imaginary block. On the exhale, you're going to then open out through that upper leg and in to come back to the start position. And lift. And in to come back to start. And lift. So making sure that you're not rolling away from the mat, but keeping that vertical stack through your hips. You should feel like there's a little strap of muscle just isolating and operating that movement for you. So exhale and open wide and in to come back to the start position. Keeping your tummy tucked all the time, okay? Head and neck relaxed, so it's easy to start collapsing through your upper body, but I want you to stay nice and open through the whole movement. Isolating, should really start to feel that movement there. Anybody feeling it not in their bottom, you can try maybe adjusting the angle of your hip, bringing your hips a little bit more bent, and then you should start to feel it a bit more in the right place. So 2 more, exhale, lift, into lower, and exhale and lift, and into lower. Then feet dropping back into the start position again. Hand in front of you for light support. And now there's various variations for lower leg. Now you can have both legs straight, okay, or just the bottom leg straight, makes it a little bit more easy to balance, or you can keep both knees bent. Okay, we're going to do a side leg lift. I'm just going to come into the straight leg position, and on the exhale, just lifting that upper leg. On inhale, come back to the start position, and exhale, lift, and in, lower. Now the thing is, trying to make sure that you're isolating to the hip and not dropping down your waist towards the mat on that side. So exhale and lift, and into lower, and exhale and lift, and into lower, and lift, and into lower, and lift, and into lower. So 2 more. Okay, so really lengthening, think about lengthening through your hip, lengthening through your knee and ankle, not dropping down through your waist, so you're still controlling with your core, and then lifting the upper leg up, breathe in to hold, and then little circles forward and up, inhale to come back and down, exhale back and up, and inhale to come forward and down, exhale forward and up, inhale back and down. So alternate directions, keeping your stability through. We're going to have a little bit of dog action again, coming in and out. So exhale forward and up, and inhale to come back and down, exhale back and up, and inhale to come forward and down. So 2 more. You should really be feeling that in that hip now. If you weren't sure where those outer buttock muscles were, you should know all about them by now. So finishing that last set of circles, and then lowering back down into the start position. A little bit of bend back on your hip, okay? And then arm reaching forward, breathing in to hold. So hips and knees back at 45 degrees, still light through your waist, still stacked again through all those key elements. Arm reaching forward on the exhale. Arm lifts, breathe in to hold, and exhale. Watch it as you open out and in to come back to the start position again. So exhale, lift, in to hold, and opening out, and in to come back to the start position again. And exhale, lift, in to hold, and opening out, and in to come back to the start position. Okay, carrying on. Now the really important thing is that you're opening out at the point of your rib cage. So I often say this to people, once you get to the 90-degree point, make sure it's the rib cage that opens. Okay, hips should stay vertical. So open, in to hold, opening wide, and in to return. And 2 more. And open, in to hold, opening wide, and in to return. and open. Inhale, opening wide, and in to return. And when you finish that last one, going to come out of that position, okay? Just going to push up into a sitting position. Now for some of you who've got a block or even a cushion, you can put that cushion underneath your feet, underneath your bottom, give you a little bit of extra elevation. You can also sit cross-legged if you can, or have your legs either bent and in parallel or with your feet together, and that can help to stop your hips getting too grippy. We're not going to spend a tremendous amount of time here in sitting, but arms up, holding your imaginary beach ball, again really upright on your sit bones, crown of your head long, shoulders anchored, and on the exhale, upper body only rotates. Okay, so you're showing that large beach ball to somebody on your left. Inhale, come back to the start position, and exhale, again rotate, showing the beach ball to somebody on your right, and inhale to come back, and rotate again. Exhale, round, and in to return, and exhale, and rotate, and in to return. Last pair of movements. Again, the main thing is your sit bones absolutely stay anchored, okay, and all that movement comes from your rib cage, pelvis stays facing forward, and arms lowering back down by your side, breathing in to hold. And then on the exhale, lifting one arm, breathe in to give it a little reach towards the ceiling, and exhale, side flex, keep those sit bones planted, inhale to reach high, exhale, side flex, sit bones stay planted, inhale, reach to stay high, and exhale, side flex, inhale, reach, and back to the start position. Opposite side lifts, breathe in to hold, and exhale, side flex, in to reach, exhale, side flex, in to reach, and exhale, side flex, in to reach, and back down. One more on each side. Exhale, lift, in to hold, and exhale, side flex, having reached, in to reach again. Exhale, side flex, nice high reach, and exhale, side flex. Inhale again, sit bones absolutely planted so that lower half of your body feels nice and stable, core engaged of course, and reaching sideways, and in to reach, and reach on the exhale, in to reach high, and last one, sideways, in to reach, and back to the start position. When you've finished that last one, bringing your legs back round, we're going to come into side lying again. On the other side, same thing. You can have your arms in the prayer position. You can have a little bit of extra cushioning for your head if you need light support, or hands on your waist. Okay, nice neutral spine and core muscles engaged. Okay, and then on the exhale, lifting your feet up onto that imaginary block for the climb, and opening out through that upper leg and in to come back to the start position, and exhale, open, and in to return. Exhale, open. As I say, you should start fairly quickly to feel those muscles on the outside of your hip opening, making sure that you're really isolating the movement so that nothing else is twisting or changing position, okay, that you're still tucked in through your core, still nice and long, that imaginary watching line, still pulling your spine into a nice elongated position. And exhale, should, as I say, just start to feel those muscles on the side of your hip starting to work at this stage, and open and in to return. So last couple of movements. And when you finish that last pair of movements, just lowering your feet down to the mat. You can straighten your legs, and as I said, it's fine to keep your legs bent or just have the top leg straight if you prefer.
we're going to do a side leg lift. So on the exhale again, lifting up the upper foot and into return. You can, if you want, point on the lift and into return, trying to make sure that all that movement is isolated to the hip, that you're not shifting down through your waist. And exhale and lift and into return and exhale lift and into return and exhale lift and into return and exhale lift and into return. And then when you finish this next one and into return, going to exhale lift, breathe into hold and small circle going forward and up, inhale to come back and down, and in the opposite direction, and exhale forward and up, in to come back and down, exhale back and up, in to come forward and down. Alternate directions of movement. Exhale forward and up, in to come back and down, and exhale back and up, and in to come forward and down. And you should really start to feel that now. Know that those muscles are working hard on your bottom, still holding on to all those key elements, all those principles of Pilates, all still working for you. So last one. And when you finish that last one, lowering back down, arm reaching in front of you. Again, just checking on your key elements. And on the exhale, lift up, breathe in to hold, and opening out through your rib cage. And in to come back to the start position. And exhale, open in to hold. Open out through your rib cage. And in to come back to start. And watch that arm as it goes in to hold. Remember, rib cage is what opens. Keeping your pelvis. I'm so sorry, I should have got you to bend your knees before we did this. Just gives you that little bit of extra stability, and opening out and in to return. I was a bit distracted by Mabel, who looked like she was going to come and stand right in front of the camera, but she's changed her mind. And in to come back to the start position. And exhale, open, in to hold, open wide, and in to come back to the start position. And exhale, open, in to hold, open wide, and in to come back to start. So two more. Open wide, in to hold, exhale, rotate, and in to return, and exhale, open, in to hold, open wide, and in to come back to the rest position. Good. And when you finish that last one, you're going to come up again into sitting, lengthwise on the mat this time. Okay, again, you can have your hips slightly open. It's usually a better position for most people, but nice and upright through your spine. And core muscles engaged. Okay, just again going to hold on to this large imaginary beach ball for this first exercise. And just going to do the roll up for the first one, or very simple, it's like a pelvic tilt really. So on the exhale, simply just opening out the small of your back and into hold and back up to start. So what we're doing here is, if you think about being on the tip of your sit bones, you're just literally allowing your tailbone to drop back, hollowing in through your tummy muscles, into hold and back up. The rest of your body stays upright. So exhale, again, open out through your tailbone, into hold, and coming back up. And two more. Exhale, drop back into hold, and back up. And exhale, drop back and into hold, and back up. Okay, and we're going to just bring that into a half roll back. So dropping back and rolling back, and into hold, and exhale, and stacking back up, and exhale, and dropping back into a half roll back into hold, and stacking back up. Now for those of you who want to do the full roll back, you can do the same thing. Okay, you're just going to go from that half position all the way back, and from there you can bring your arms back behind you, breathe into hold, and again coming up through the abdominal preparation. This is only for those who want to do the full roll up, and into hold, and again forward, just dropping back. Arms coming back behind your head, slowly lower, sorry.
and stacking back up. I was looking for the right amount of space in my house and living in a cottage. Just lots of small corners. Okay, and dropping back. And into hold. And again, picking back up. And again, for those of you doing the half roll back, just half roll back into hold and stack back up. And half roll back. And into hold. And stack back up. And half roll back. And into hold. And stack back up. And when you finish that last one, going to just straighten out through your legs in front of you, sitting really nice and upright. And again, for those of you who can't get your legs completely straight, because you've got my replaced knee next to you, which is almost not quite there, but some of you will have slightly tight hamstrings. It's fine to be upright. I don't want any stress on your low backs. Okay, so it's fine to be slightly bent kneed if you need to. And from there, on the exhale, you're going to just drop forward. So again, if you can have a straighter knee, nice straight back dropping forward, getting a really good stretch through these thigh muscles and into hold. Again, core engaged all the time, coming straight back up. Okay, so you're doing this either with a straight leg, dropping forward, keeping all those key elements nice and open through your head and neck and chest, and stacking back up and dropping forward and into hold and back up. So last one, and dropping forward and into hold and back up. And when you finish that last one, you're going to come back into the rest position. So you can just bring your knees into a bent position. You can either support yourself down or you can come down into a roll down. I'm going to grab a cushion for myself so that I've got something to support my head. So just going to come down into a rest position. So enough support behind your head, okay, just to make sure that your neck's not sort of jammed up or extended. Nice neutral spine. So again, finding that midline with your pelvis so that your tailbone's flat on the floor, feet parallel, ribs soft, shoulders anchored, and core muscles engaged. Okay, we're going to come straight into a shoulder bridge, feet anchored. Okay, and again, if it's too much to have support behind your head for a bridge, you can take this out, but make sure that you're not putting any pressure on your head and neck. We're going to bring arms up if you can with you. Breathing into hold and exhale, soften and drape and lower back into the start position. So what you're looking for is this spinal articulation to flatten, peel and lift. Arms can come up if you like, into hold and exhale and soften and drape and lower. If you prefer to keep your arms resting on the mat, you can. Remember, it's a backside squeeze that lifts that bottom away from the mat, and soften and drape and lower, and tuck and peel and lift. All the weight bearing through your shoulder blades and through the bases of your feet for this, so that you're not pushing on your heels or your knees rolling together. Okay, here comes Mabel. Now I'm lying on the ground, hopefully. Good, she's going to go also. Okay, alright, so tuck, peel and lift, and into hold, and exhale, and back into the start position again. And then hands behind your head, elbows wide out to the side, but keeping your ribs soft. On the exhale, up into the abdominal preparation. And inhale to hold, exhale to lower. Exhale, lift. Don't flatten your back, keeping that space between your low back and the mat. And exhale and lift into hold. Exhale and lower down. And it's just your upper rib cage working. Okay, so you're not flattening your back, okay, but keeping your pelvis in parallel alignment to the mat. And exhale and lift and into hold and lower back down. If you're really confident about your head and neck control, you can also just have your hands on your temples. Okay, distance between chin and chest not changing. Okay, distance between the low back and the mat not changing. Really feeling that rib cage doing the work. And lifting up into hold and lengthen and lower. And lifting up and into hold. And lengthen and lower. And lifting up and into hold. And lengthen and lower. And then arms coming back down by your side. Again, shoulders anchored, head relaxed. Okay, core muscles engaged. And floating one leg into the tabletop position. Keep your pelvis level. Breathe in to hold and exhale to exchange. And breathing in to hold. Head and neck relaxed. And exhale to exchange. Now those of you who don't like doing this exchange, you can lift one leg and into lower. The idea is that you isolate that hip movement and the lever of your legs completely from the key element control of your upper body, so that you're not getting gripping or tension here, but just holding that control. So if you can, into hold and exhale to exchange. And into hold and exhale to exchange. And into hold and exhale to exchange. Tummy tucked in towards your spine. And into hold and exhale to exchange. So last two movements there, and into hold. Finishing in the tabletop position. Okay, bringing your hands back behind your head, or fingertips on temples, also fine. I'm going to now do an oblique preparation, coming up towards that opposite knee, and into lower, and exhale lift, and into lower, and 3. We're going to do 10 to each side. And 4. Make sure head and neck position doesn't change. It's that shortening between your rib and your hip on the opposite side. Okay. And again, imaginary glasses of water balanced on your knees. So last one on that side, and 9 and 10. And then lowering back down. And then coming up on the opposite side, and exhale, lift, and into lower, and 2, and into lower, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, and 9, and 10. And when you finish that last one, hands back down by your side and lowering that leg back into the start position. A little bit of a pelvic tilt just to refine that neutral position. Hands back down by your side, and then arms lifting up to 90 degrees. Breathing into hold. Now you can stay in the rest position for this, is fine. Or you can be in single tabletop and exchange your legs between movements, or you can come to double tabletop. And on the exhale, going to do a shoulder series now. So reaching your fingertips towards the ceiling, into hold, shoulder blades drop back, arms drop back behind your head, and inhale, circle round again. I've been sort of stymied by my lack of space, but if you bring your arms back just within comfort, as you all know, and in to come back to the start position. Tummy stays tucked in, spine stays neutral. So we're going to start off with the fingertips reach, into hold, shoulder blades anchor, then the arms drop back. Inhale, come back to the start position, and exhale, reach into hold, shoulder blades drop back, and then arms drop back, and inhale, and come back to the start position. And 2 more. Fingertips reach, into hold, shoulder blades drop back, arms back behind your head, and inhale, circle round,
and back to the start position, and again, reach, arms drop back, hands back behind your head, and inhale, well done, coming back to the start position again, arms floating back down by your side, nice and controlled, going to lower first one leg then the other, back into the start position, arms a little wider out to the side, feet and knees together, shoulders anchored, and then letting your knees just drop away to one side, head rolling in the opposite direction, breathing in to hold, and one joint at a time, coming back into the start position, in to hold, same thing on the other side to rotate, and in to hold, and back to the start position. Going to do one more pair of movements in the rest position. Head goes in the opposite direction, keeping your rib cage nice and planted on the mat if you can, one joint at a time, back to start. And same thing again, keeping your knees stacked so that it's waist to tailbone that rotates away. Now you can carry on in rest if you like, or for those of you more confident with your strength and more experience in Pilates, coming to double tabletop. And same thing, hip twist in double tabletop to rotate away, breathing in to hold, and back to the start position. Head in the opposite direction to rotate away, and in to hold, and back to start. And rotate away, and in to hold, and back to start. Okay, we're going to do last pair of movements now, rotating away, and in to hold, and back to start. So when you've completed that last pair of movements, I know everybody's works at slightly different paces, get nice and controlled to lower your legs back into the start position. Just relax your core at this stage. You can bring your legs one at a time up towards your chest, just opening out through the base of your spine. Getting a nice stretch through the bottom of your back. Legs back in parallel alignment, okay? Shoulders anchored to your waist. Core muscles engaged. And coming back to the bridge now, arms relaxed by your side for this, because you can either add heel raises at the top or leg extensions as you prefer. So going to tuck and peel and lift up into the shoulder bridge position, and then exhale to extend one knee, back to the start position. Exhale, the opposite knee, in to return, and soften and drape. And lower back to the start position. Same rules about protecting your head and neck, and you can take that support out from behind your head as well if you prefer. You can, as I say, the alternative to leg extensions is alternate heel raises, imagining at the apex of the bridge that you've got a big sort of canopy supporting your bottom up towards the ceiling. So reaching on the exhale and in to return, and reaching on the exhale and in to return, and soften and drape and lower back into the start position, and breathing into hold, and tuck and peel and lift, and in to hold and extend, and in to return and extend, and in to return and soften and drape and lower back to start. So for those of you who find that they get crampy through their hamstrings in this position, you can always ensure that you try to get as much squeeze through your bottom as possible. Don't lift your head up. That's me just trying to talk to you. Okay, and then last one, tuck and peel and lift, and breathe into hold, and extending, and into return, and extending, and into return, and soften, and drape, back into the start position again. Good. And when you finish that last one, okay, hands behind your head again, breathing into hold. Going to come up into the single tabletop position, okay, and going to do a leg stretch in that position with abdominal preparation and into return. You can then exchange between positions if you like. Exhale and reaching long and into return and exchange and reaching long and into return and exchange. Just keep your elbows nice and wide and reach long and into return. Sorry, and exchange. I've lost my concentration there. And reaching long and into return and exchange, or lower and lift and reach long and into return and exchange and reach long and into return and exchange and reaching long and into return and exchange and reaching long and into return and exchange. Now I've just looked at my phone and I think I have just made a rookie error because it's saying low battery. So I'm not even sure if it's still recording at this stage. Okay, so hopefully you can still see me. But I'm going to come around and up into standing position because it looks like we're going to have to finish this class. As I say, I'm amateur at this. So I'm going to get better at this as we go along, even if this turns out to be a slightly shorter class. But just standing in that position, in the standing position to finish. So you come up through side sitting into standing. Again, feet anchored down on the mat, crown of your head reaching long. Okay, and then again, arms lifting up above your head. We're going to start as we, or finish as we started, and inhale to come back to the start position, and exhale, arms lift, and inhale, come back to the start position, and exhale and lift, and inhale, come back to start. And last two movements, lift, and inhale, come back, and lift and reach, and inhale, and come back. And then arms lifting up above your head, up towards the ceiling, heels drop, again, head starts and arms rolling down, dropping down towards the mat. Breathe in to hold and exhale to stack back up, one joint at a time, and arms lift and reach. We're going to do two more, and head and arms dropping away, and breathe in to hold, and then stacking back up, and lift and reach, and dropping, arms drop down, and inhale to hold, and then stacking back up, and lift and reach, and arms wide, and then shaking out through your hands and feet to finish. Okay, I'm going to get better at this, okay, in terms of making sure that I've got enough battery to complete the class, and sending you out some sort of a bit of variety through the classes over the next week or so. But as I say, I hope you're all keeping well and keeping reasonably cheerful in these really strange times. And I'll clock in with you again within the next